I'm Marsha Kristen, and this is Heart Connected Communication. In this video today, I'm going to be looking at what is empathy. It's a word that's used a lot and sometimes defined, and yet there's a lot more to it. So we're going to be looking at the felt sense. How do you actually feel empathy? And I'm also going to be connecting to the other two videos about feelings and needs, so it's a helpful place to either come in or add on to some of the other things you've already watched. And we're also going to be looking at something really important, is what empathy is not. That distinction, something that was really groundbreaking to me, and I think for a lot of people. Marshall Rosenberg even bringing in the concept self-empathy and what that means when we're able to really get ourselves, helps us to be able to get another. So let's go ahead and get to the heart. What is empathy? We could certainly answer that in a definition sort of way, but we really need to feel it. And that's hopefully something that we'll be getting to today. But I do want to give you a little bit of framework, because this term is used a lot, and it was even called for back in a presidential inauguration in the United States about, we need more empathy. Well, how do we know if empathy is happening? Another piece is often children, I noticed, are taught how to empathize with others. One of the biggest tragedies, I think, is that children often are the ones who receive the least amount of empathy. There's very much a behavioral approach. We're paying attention to behaviors and doing the right and appropriate behaviors, but are we really teaching emotional intelligence? And this is what empathy is all about. Self-empathy, being in our own shoes and being okay to be in our own shoes and figure out what's going on for us. What are we feeling? What are we needing? What thoughts are there that need to be translated? What are judgments that are there that can be looked at in the ways of a needs-based consciousness? And my cats are fighting. So practically speaking, empathy really gets to the heart of it. So if you've seen the other videos that I've done on the needs and universal human needs and feelings as to the ways we get to needs, I'll put those links of those videos in the comments. And my cats are coming today. I already had my fluffy cat on my lap. So here's my other cat. I guess they're needing some connection and some maybe wanting to have reassurance they'll be fed. And you can watch this video. It doesn't matter if you've seen the other ones or not, but it might be helpful to see a little bit of background about universal human needs and the important things to relearn about feelings. So looking at practically a definition of empathy, what a lot of people have come to who studied nonviolence, nonviolent communication, various other modalities, is that empathy is really being gotten, being understood in a deep way, having a resonance that is really a felt sense. Now, there's often people who have defined empathy as being able to understand and feel somebody else's feelings or walking in someone else's shoes. And yes, of course, that's a helpful way. That particular definition I see as being so close to sympathy, where we are focused on how we're feeling in response to someone. I really like the way that nonviolent communication looks at it's deeply listening, being present with someone else or ourselves. And feelings and needs could be what we could be listening to, but the intention is connection. There's really 5 important ingredients, and I'll go over those. So in empathy, the first part is intention for connection. Rather than to fix or to solve or to get somewhere, to be heard. This is one of the most challenging things. Can I really be present with how I am, my feelings and needs, how someone else is, how a group is with a number of individuals in it? So there's also a second ingredient, presence, being able to be present with what is. Thich Nhat Hanh talks about deep listening is allowing someone to completely empty their heart. So that's a level of heart connection that we often don't have. So the third piece is curiosity. Am I curious? to know what the feelings and needs are in a way that I'm stepping away and out of the right and wrong binary, the domination paradigm consciousness. But I'm looking through a needs-based consciousness. So cultivating that curiosity and checking in, am I still curious? I'm wanting to know, with that intention of connection and the ability to be present. And then a fourth piece might be listening to those feelings and needs. And I think even beyond that, we don't have to always respond in feelings and needs, but it's helpful to have that focus. What are the actual emotions? What are the felt senses? What are the universal human needs that have arisen, that are there? And then the fifth part is kind of checking to make sure that empathy has happened. Is there some type of communication within myself if I'm in silent empathy? Or am I going to be able to express and make a guess? It's often a guess in nonviolent communication, is empathy guesses. I think it's really helpful to practice that sense of just listening to feelings and needs, and it's an amazing place to start, is being able to self-empathize and just noticing. So the mindfulness piece that comes in is super helpful if you have a meditation or mindful practice, but even if you don't, you can still take a pause, 30 seconds, checking in. What am I noticing? What body sensations do I have? What am I thinking? What am I seeing? What am I hearing? What are the emotions that are there, the body sensations? What might they be connected to? Bringing that curiosity to myself. It's a wonderful place to practice. And that's really one of the bases for nonviolent communication, is self-empathy or self-connection. And that's a place to start. And then when I am guessing for someone else, I'm more likely to be able to guess feelings and needs if I'm able to do that for myself. And I'm also able to express in a way that comes from that grounded, connected place. So what is empathy? It has those 5 pieces you can certainly pay attention to and see which parts you might want to practice. And I'll be doing other videos on some of those pieces, on intention and attention, and also on presence. But for this video, I want to give an example of resonance, a felt sense. So I have this bowl here. We'll see if I'll be able to make it sing. And what you can do is you could get a bowl like this or something where you could actually feel the resonance. Resonance, where you can feel, I can feel the vibrations. So when you make a guess, an empathy guess of a feeling and a need, you might have a sense of this resonance. We get tricked into believing that jumping into judgment and jumping in with someone, if they're really judging and blaming another, or maybe even blaming themselves, that happens maybe a little bit less. When we're blaming out, we often believe that if we jump in there and go, yeah, that person's a bleep, or yeah, and we get in there with our judgments, that shows that there's companionship. And yes, they're going to have a felt sense of being gotten there. It almost, to me, is like an illusion. And then we start down a path and we miss the heart. We miss grabbing what is it that's underneath that judgment that we're so longing for that part to be heard. And yes, of course, we want agreement. But I notice that there gets pieces that are missing. We don't honestly get to as much resonance as possible. I also imagine that just doing guesses within yourself, for yourself or another, can be really helpful, rather than doing NVC on people without their consent. It might be something you also could practice with a buddy. Like, hey, let's spend 15 minutes. You speak and I'll, at the end, make feelings and needs guesses or make some along the way, and then we'll switch. And just doing that kind of practice where there's an agreement. I often have a friend while I'm taping. So I think he's feeling connected. I think he has a sense of connection and care. He gets to have some nurturance. All right, so now if we're going to play a game, I often do when we're in person, is what empathy is not. And not to say that this is a list of things that are bad that you can never do. It's just not empathy. And I want to really bring in, I get pretty excited, is that we are going around and have for generations in an empathy deficit, meaning we don't get near amount of empathy. Conversations goes quickly. We try to solve problems. We do all these things and we don't have that sense. And could you imagine what it is like to get that felt sense of resonance, just a little drop, if we could spread that every day, just 5 seconds, what that would do to support us. And to have more awareness, have more sense of our interdependence, have compassion, have some connection and understanding. All kinds of needs are met by empathy. And empathy is a universal need. Okay, so to play our game of what empathy is not, we might want to come up, and you can even do this if you're doing this with a group, or you can think of something yourself, sometime that you really wished you'd had some empathy. Okay, so I just found out that one of my children has a very difficult disease. There's no cure. Wow, well, I think you should really stay positive because your child's going to need that kind of support. I also think you should really check out the different research centers because there's probably a lot more answers and you really shouldn't give up hope. Oh, well, wow, that sounds like a lot. I mean, it's kind of like when I found out my mom had cancer and my brother was sick at the same time. Now, that was a lot. Well, you know, this could really turn out to something that you'll learn a lot from, and I imagine she'll learn a lot from it, too. Oh, wow, that reminds me of the time that, oh, yeah, my husband, his stepdaughter found out that she had this type of bone disease where her bones wouldn't grow, and then our cousin at the same time, she found out that she had like this really awful allergy to all kinds of foods. It was horrendous. You should have seen. Oh, cheer up. I'm sure it'll be okay. Oh my God, that's so horrible. You poor thing. Oh, I can't imagine. Oh, if that happened to one of my children, I would be so freaked out. So when did this begin? I mean, what did you find out? Have you gotten all the tests that you needed to have? I mean, are you sure that the doctor's really up? What are you going to do? Oh, well, I really want to be able to hear how hard that is, and I've just got a lot going on right now. I'm sure I could talk to you on Friday, though. Oh, I'm sure that's not real, that there's no cure. That's got to be something. I just can't imagine that's right. Now, a needs guess. Oh, wow. I imagine your heart's hurting right now, and maybe you really long for some support, and maybe to trust and have some answers that might feel supportive. Are you just feeling overwhelmed right now with that information and just kind of in shock? Or is there a lot of just fear coming up, just wanting to have some understanding of like what's next? Yeah. I'm here however you are. I'm willing to listen and be with you. One thing that I would want to encourage is that you see what empathy is not as bad things. All those things have a place. I would want to have some connection first, have the needs at least brought out so that I could check in with the person. You know, oh, would you like some information? Or what are the ways that you might meet some of those needs that have come up? Or what's important to you? Sounds like this is important to you. Do you want to brainstorm on ways that we can look at meeting those things and getting those things that are important to you? And so they're not a list of things never to do. It's just checking in and getting that level of connection. I also want to encourage you to keep practicing in your daily life with feelings and needs and see how that is. And also there's these cards. There are a number of places where you can get them. These are Grok cards. GROK. Hopefully I'm going to be coming up with some cards that have pictures on them that might lead to more resonance. So you look out for those, might be a little bit, but they're coming. There's also some wonderful resources that I'll put below too. There is the No Fault game that also has sets of cards, and Grok the World also has a couples little packet. It's really helpful as a game, and 2 sets of cards that are different, so you can actually sit there with each other and use those. Yeah, just in summary from today, looking at some of the ingredients that goes into empathy, looking into maybe a different definition than you've heard before, what empathy is not, and also that empathy needs to be felt, and that you can follow that and feel the needs that are most up and come back to our bodies as a source of information. Just remembering that needs are kind of the gems that we're wanting to get to, and also to leave room for them to arise, leave spaces where we can pause and just sense into those can be really powerful. So I hope to see you on the next video. Remember that if you like and if you subscribe, you're just saying that you'd like more of these videos. You don't get irritating emails or anything or have to pay anything. Subscribe is like the follow, and the like, and how long you watch the video is important to have these videos come up more for searches and really to get this information out there. So would so appreciate that. Would love to hear your comments. What are you challenged by? What are you excited about? Maybe some stories of how this has been for you. I know for me, when I first read through like a self-empathy process, it was with the NVC toolkit. I was sharing NVC in Washington State prisons, and I felt such a wave of that resonance for the first time, and it was one of the most empowering things and nurturing things. So I hope to also be including soon some more of my meditations that have to do with self-empathy, and we'll walk you through some of those processes. Thanks for sharing your heart again with me, and I'd love to hear from you and hear from your heart. All right, until next time.
Where do you go when you can't? Where do you go when you can sleep at night?